by any of that. They don't exist right now.
We'll jump into softball, which is page 18. Yep, page 18. Get the next one.
So option 1, softball, demolition. Field renovation. Backstop and retaining. Outfield baseline fencing. Press box and storage. Parking and accessible pathways. And scoreboard. And wants are bleachers and lighting.
Last page, which is the miscellaneous.
I think it just shows pictures of the fields.
Yeah. So here's the cost. The pictures are on page. Say again.
12, page 12.
Page 12.
The north and east fields.
There we go.
So the needs would be regrading and crowning. And any utility relocation if needed. And wants is lighting.
Excuse me.
So we'll just go, any questions on options 1 for baseball or softball or the field regrading?
Option 1 would be most expensive.
Tom could get into
Yeah,
the
well,
costs in a
we're
minute.
just gonna go through, we were just going through the wants versus needs between the
Gotcha.
3.
So you know what's a number?
Yeah.
Okay.
As a reminder, this was a requested feasibility study. We went out with the approach that we would go from A to Z, giving the board options and opportunities from A to Z, combining all of them together, or picking and choosing. It's a nice option and an opportunity that this group put together for you to be able to review and see if you wanted to do something or not. As Tom said this afternoon, we spent the afternoon and Shelley prioritized items that would be on here. This isn't a tomorrow list. Some of these things are already on the 10-year plan. So it isn't necessarily something that's new, and monies that are allocated through the capital reserve that you already have. So you would need to be able to review that so you don't double dip and charge yourself twice. The focus tonight really is to get this out to you because this is hot off the press. Hasn't had an opportunity to had much discussion, but thank you to Tom, Tim, and Shelley for meeting late this afternoon to at least get some options that are out there so you know administratively what we're looking at as the most prioritized need, and how that can be done and how that can be met will be something that Tom will be able to address in the future.
write it
have
up.
that when we're talking about this over the next however long period of time.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, from those, once, since you asked about the cost of stuff, so from the ones that we addressed through option one of baseball, option one of softball, and the regrading of the slopes, I think the one thing that was missed was the scoreboard for replacing the scoreboard at the stadium, at the football stadium. That was one piece that I think we addressed. As you can see, those are kind of sliding scales, I like to call them, with a low and a high range of costs. So if we wanted to pursue option one baseball, option one softball, the practice field north, which is on the screen here, which is the lower half, which football kind of practices on if you've been down there, and then the east field, which is the one by the softball slash kind of like right below the track. Those ones slope, and then they're not really suitable for use, so that's why they would be suggestion of regrading. And then the scoreboard is kind of getting end of life. That was the old football stadium, the old baseball stadium scoreboard that we repurposed. The football is getting kind of dated. So all in for that, plus the 15% contingency, which you've seen on every one of their estimates, they've estimated about 15% contingency cost. Gets us around $756,000 the whole way up to like 1.16 million on just the needs, not addressing the wants. Have any discussion, I guess, on the financial aspect of moving forward with the feasibility, at least the ones that we proposed here. First off.
So this group just did the feasibility study for us, so the next step would be
So-
deciding what we want to do now.
Correct.
So
So
we want to do anything.
yes, the next step would be basically timing and scope. When would you be looking to have this done? Because that would kind of set our bid timeline. And what do you want to be done? So do you want all of what we proposed, or portions of it? And then what timing were you looking to have the work completed? So that's kind of the two things, that's the next aspect of it. Before the administration, we can proceed with getting those documents for the board to approve and pursue.
So there was mention about a capital,
Just money.
project, budget money, and some of this discussion has been ongoing for a while. And so there has been a sense of a direction to go that way, but, I mean, this is just kind of honing it in more and bringing it to where we can at least attempt to move on it to the next step.
Yeah, so like Dr. Bell said, the capital reserve project, we do have some of these already allotted in the 10-year plan, which we do for capital projects. Victor does a nice job of trying to assess all these. Now, this is a little bit more of the direction of what the board wanted to take on some of those baseball, softball areas that we had discussion of for multiple years now. So the main way we would fund this is with the land sales. So we were anticipating selling 2 pieces of land, which would almost completely, if everything came in, so we won't know until we would bid, if everything came in on the low end, that would be able to fund almost the entire project. That's around $720,000. So that would be the proposal from us internally to use that money towards athletic spaces.
$175,000, we're get to go to court next week, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Oh, so you're gonna have money in hand.
So,
Soon.
when you sell, you can't just sell. A public school district has to go to court.
So yes, the 475 is gonna be soon, and then 250
250 is the
should be the winter time.
Hopefully within the calendar, this year.
Yes.
So that'll cover this option one is what you're saying.
Yeah, that would most likely cover baseball option one, softball option one, the regrading of both the practice sections, north and east, and the stadium scoreboard.
If everything comes on the low end.
Correct.
Okay.
With the 15% contingency added on top.
Yeah, that probably won't happen. Yeah, that's the next one.
I mean, I would say it's the same thing as what we did with the construction project. We have
Sure.
a low and a high, and we don't know until we get all
Yep.
the bid documents back what may or may not happen.
What's the impact that you shared earlier? Dr. Bell stated something, the impact of anything that's already on the 10-year plan?
Yeah, that would lessen our 10-year burden, which would essentially be able to use those funds for other aspects if we do it now.
Can we have a list of what's on the 10-year project or the 10-year list?
Yeah, we would.
Sure,
Yeah.
total's about 55,000.
Of what's already on the list?
Of
That's quick.
what would be duplicated.
Okay.
So that's, okay.
And like anything else, a lot of this stuff would come to the 10-year plan in time. There's no two ways about it. It's always going to have wear and tear to come back around. So some of this stuff could come back. We don't do it now in 3 years' time. So it's just this is now an opportunity with the land sale and everything else with the feasibility study to kind of do it now rather than wait.
Money's just burning a hole in your pocket. I'm going to get rid of that right away.
I'm just providing options.
Well, if we're buying it in today's dollars.
Right.
Versus buying it in,
Sure.
3 year down the road dollars, and, that land use could go to this now, because if we don't move, that would sit where and be used somewhere else, correct?
Yeah. The other thing is what we talked about is economy of scale. So the more we can do in one time, the less it can be, since they're already gonna have equipment here rather than
As
doing
an-
baseball at once and then softball at once and piecing
As an
it.
example, if you're going to choose an option to put a baseball scoreboard in, a softball scoreboard, it's probably beneficial to go ahead and tack on the scoreboard from the stadium.
Oh, the stadium squad, yeah.
So you've got, the nice thing that they've done is you've got options. And they're presented to you the exact same way they came to the administration.
Yep.
So we would need to move this forward in order to get some actual hard numbers to see what we're gonna do, right? I mean, it's can't just, not enough information at this point.
I would suggest revisiting, I mean, it's fresh on everybody's mind in October with the capital project list, so that'll align, Brian, with your 10-year request. We'll have that available for you, plus the request of this upcoming list in conjunction with the athletics. So we'll have a nice option there. You had Shelley wanted, we'll have that all together next month. Then I would suggest we could, if you guys want, we would move that forward after October's meeting.
Okay.
So it's more or less, we just got it, want to get in front of you guys, see it, see the options, see what we requested. Like I said, in the initial discussion phase, to then go to October, and if there's more discussion, we'll push it to November, and we'll keep just having a discussion until the board's comfortable with moving
So
forward.
is there any action on our part at this point?
I think just review what we presented tonight.
Provide questions.
Yeah.
But what you said was, and I know you said it probably twice now, is that with the money we get from the real estate, you're saying we could do, if it comes in at the low end, the baseball option, the softball option, and the miscellaneous,
The
That's your
last-
practice fields.
and then practice fields.
Yes.
Okay, the miscellaneous improvements.
And
But-
the stadium.
Yes, and the stadium score, but only the options of the needs, so. that
Correct, not the
shows-
whole list, just,
Yes,
okay.
just what we identified as immediate needs.
Thank you for clarifying, okay.
Yes.
I agree. digest it, would be helpful, and then we can come.
Yeah, it's more have questions prepared for October, direction, if you have, if you're set on options and stuff, or you agree, like a direction to move forward so that, like, the administration can move it forward, prepare documents and stuff like that for the board, so.
Ready to debate options.
Yes, correct.
And everything in October.
Good.
Yep, so we'll jump into the next topic, which is the investment plan. So your next handout, which are also linked on here, in reviewing policy 609, as we always kind of review policies here internally, was the notice of the need to establish and approve an annual investment plan. So the first kind of 2 paragraphs is what's of this annual investment plan kind of aligns exactly with policy 609. So within policy 609, it provides that the board should annually approve an investment plan and disclose the investments in a monthly report, which this plan would do if approved. And the list of options below are what I'm eligible as the designated investment officer or business administrator here now to do. What that basically says is these are the most secure options which align with school code that I'm allowed to do within the scope of investments available to me. So this is just kind of aligning internal procedure with policy, which we've been trying to do, as you guys know, for several months now, so we'll just keep working through that since we have so many policies and so many things. So that's what this investment plan will do, and this will be approved annually. If we have any changes, the FPS will review it and we'll make changes to then have approved by the full board. So this is just something we'll do annually. I'll try to make it more we might do it again maybe in June for the following year, since it was past the year for the upcoming year. And then the monthly report that it states is the next document you have, which is it's labeled bank treasurer report. This will be in the board document, or I should say the board agenda, under the as noted section, so it'll go along like the year-to-date report, some of the other reports. It will be part of that as a year or as a monthly report, and it'll show the month start to month end. What's in here, what it discloses is what our balances are at a bank level, and the interest and investments that go along with those bank levels. So it just kind of shows the interest rate, maturity date, and any bank balances we have for that snapshot of a month.
Excuse me.
So this will just be going forward as noted to align with policy 609 and the investment plan. Any questions about what information is being provided or what you'll see new to the agenda next time? I should say the voting session agenda.
Are we going to vote on this, or is this just?
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Phil, I think that does need to be voted on, yes.
It'll need voted on annually.
Yes, and I will, this is post annually, so we'll try, I'll do again in May or June for 25-26. So this one will be, this will be effective on the voting session in September moving forward, and then we'll do another one for the upcoming year. And like I said, the bank treasurer report will be under the as noted because it's just an informational item. It's nothing, no action item with the actual treasurer report. Okay. Any other questions with the investment plan or
Excuse me.
no treasurer report? Okay. All right, so then the quick update on the next document, so there's a lot of documents here tonight, is the Go Bond 2024. So I'm just gonna jump through some quick informational stuff that's within here. If anybody was part of around for the financial discussions from PFM, this is their typical document that they would provide on their updates pre-project. So we had the initial plan for the construction project was to do 3 issuances of debt. This is the third of 3, so this is the last issuance of debt, which will have all the money we have to supply the completion of the building project. So we just issued a $9.65 million general obligation bond, which we call it GO bonds. And I will jump to page 4. That just highlights our S&P. We are still rated as A+ stable, which is good. We've been maintaining that for quite some time, I think, since the stadium project. That has been the goal, and we've been able to maintain that since. So that's a good fiscal responsibility on the district to be able to be good in the eyes of, this is by S&P Global. So I'm going to jump to page 9, which has like the 3 boxes on the top. So just to note on the bond proceeds, the couple spots to note are, if you see right in the top left, it says bond proceeds highlighted, and then it has subsequent numbers left to right. So the first bond issuance was 9.5. The second issuance was 26 million, and then this third issuance is 9.5. Right below the 9.5, it does earmark $6 million of district cash that we do have within our fund balance to put towards the project. Below that is estimated interest earnings from our GO bonds, so we're allowed to gain interest on those, and that's the estimated interest proceeds. And then the next thing of note is, if you see the column numbers across left to right in the middle, we want column 8, and you can see we went from 1.6 to 1.8 million pre-GO bonds, and if you go the whole way to column 12 to 2026 time frame, which is about the 4th one down, we're going to go to 4 million, and then from there it's called level funding or level debt, which is that will maintain, if you can see for the life down to 2051, is around that 4,060,000. So that's what level debt. So which we added 870, remember the budget. Next year we'll have to add around 230 as cleanup, because we weren't sure until we issued this what that was going to be. And then from there we will have no more increases within the debt unless we would take on more debt in the future. Yes, it is very equivalent to a mortgage, 30-year mortgage. So we would be, as it says on here, debt-free in 2051. So if you're like me and you're going to be here in 2051, you'll see we're debt-free. But the next page that just kind of highlights this is the 4.2% interest rate, which is on page 11. It's right in the middle. It says a yield of issue. And it also notes it on page 12 and 13 are the compilation of all 3 draws. So if you look at page 12, it sums up all of our debts across left to right at the top section, and that shows that where will be the debt service runs out in 2051. And then page 13 kind of breaks down this issuance, where it shows that what I said, A+, 4.2% interest rate, and what we would get as proceeds. So just kind of an update of showing that the project now has all the debt issuance issued. We do expect to receive cash in hand this week. So I think it was estimated to be within the district funds on or about September 5th. So plus or minus a day or 2 here. So any questions on the last debt issuance? I know some of you are new. This was already kind of talked about before some of the members came. Committee members here. All right, so we'll jump into the next topic, which is it's a memorandum of understanding, or an MOU, with the collective bargaining agreement. So internally, we identified or came to light a problem within the CBA that needed to be addressed, which is a years of service, and that's only internally years of service. This has nothing to do with PSERs or any other years of service. It would only be years of service within Littlestown School District. So when a teacher starts and when a teacher would leave, they accrue years of service, which does have an impact on retirement benefits within the district's collective bargaining agreement. So as you can see on the screen in front of you, the current way we operated was, or we still operate, is we award in half-year increments. And the problem came in of the half-year increments were not kind of divvied out in similar fashion, I should say. So July through December, anybody hired from July through December would be a year. January would be a half-a-year credit, and anybody kind of February through June got no credit. So this MOU would establish, I'd like to highlight this, the bolded paragraph in the middle that just says we would calculate it in quarterly basis now, and it breaks it down in the formula. That formula says within a teacher year is 186 days by contract, divide that into 4 quarters, they have to work at least half, that's why it's divided by 2 again, and then add a day to work a half plus 1, which is what we always do, and that gets you to 24 days that they have to work at a minimum to get a quarter. And this would just establish it, and of note is that it's not be retroactive. It would only go once it would be signed and approved by the board, it would go into effect from that day forward. So we would calculate in quarter increments moving forward. Nobody would get it retroactive.
So basically, you're just cleaning everything up, so it's all aligned the same.
Correct. So
throughout the district.
yeah, so somebody coming in December or February or June, they would get allotted the same way we would do anybody else, which is not currently being practiced. It's one of those things that when it gets renewed year to year to year, it doesn't come into place until it gets brought to light. So,
Tim, you had discussion with the union about this?
Yes.
Bring any of that to light?
Yeah, I think the association is very excited to be able to do this because this is an opportunity to be able to provide them with something they've not had before, recognizing teachers for the actual years of service, or as close to those years of service as possible.
So by it not being retroactive, does that mean that it doesn't apply to someone that came in the second half of the year 20 years ago? So it does not apply to that person?
it would apply to when they would retire. That's when the quarter would go into effect for them. They would not be able to receive their half a year that they got 20 years ago, but when they go to retire, if they work 24 days, they would be awarded in a quarter or accrue the quarter at the end.
So it's not fixing the past, it's fixing the future. That's basically what's happening. They can't go back and get, if they were hired in February and got no credit, they don't go back and get credit for it. However, if they're leaving in the middle of one of these, they could get a quarter credit.
However, they may not have gotten half or whole credit currently on the leaving end.
So it doesn't really affect anything for current teachers for now?
When they started.
Only when they retire.
Yes.
So this will just be their years of service.
Yes. Yep. So this will be on the board agenda for approval for the full board in September. Any other questions?
No, sounds good.
So we'll jump into the full-time, our request for a full-time maintenance administrative assistant. In front of you is the request made by Victor to supply him with a full-time administrative assistant. What this kind of boils down to is he